The Maya. Who were the Maya? The Maya were an ancient people who built a magnificent civilization. A civilization which flourished for almost 15 centuries in Middle America. I'm Fernando Pérez del Rio. Between the years 600 BC and 1460 AD, the Maya built hundreds of cities and ceremonial centers. This was the land of the Maya. From the Yucatan Peninsula south to the state of Chiapas in Mexico, the countries of Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras. The Maya originated a complex system of hieroglyphic writing and practiced astronomy with amazing accuracy. They were master builders whose lives were devoted to worshiping their many gods. About 900 AD, for reasons still unknown, this amazing civilization began to fade. People moved away from their great cities, many of which were abandoned within a few years. When the Spanish came to Yucatan in 1535, they found numerous small Maya towns across the peninsula. Today, there are about 2 million Maya descendants in this region, which still remains the land of the Maya.
Cabal José Arcadio Salazar Medina, Tenecajalen, Yucatan.
I am José Arcadio Salazar Medina. I was born in Yucatan and have lived here all my life. My ancestors were the Maya who built many great cities from Yucatan to Guatemala. I live near what was once the Maya city of Zibil Chaltún.
The ancient town of Zibil Chaltún was continuously occupied by the Maya for 2,000 years. Only a few kilometers from here is the city of Mérida, the largest city on the Yucatan Peninsula today. Mérida was founded by the Spaniards. It was almost 15 years after the Aztecs were conquered before the Spanish ruled Yucatan. Its old colonial homes are showplaces today. Now, Mérida is a modern city. But the market is still much the same as it was in the time of the Maya. These are Maya Indians today. Arcadio attends school in Mérida, and history is his favorite subject. When he's not in school, Arcadio can usually be found in Zibil Chaltún, often wondering about his ancestors. When did they come to Yucatan? And where did they settle first? Scholars believe the first settlement of the Maya area took place between 900 and 300 BC in this region. The Yucatan Peninsula and the northern part of Guatemala, called El Petén, is a single limestone shelf which has risen from the sea over an immense period of time. The limestone rock provided plenty of materials for building pyramids and cities, but the rocky surface of the land made farming very difficult. Fresh water is scarce in this region. There are few rivers, except underground deep below the surface. But there are cenotes, circular sinkholes formed by the collapse of underground caves. Cenotes were the main source of fresh water in this land. Today, windmills are frequently used in Yucatan to pump water from deep wells, and cenotes are favorite swimming holes. The Maya civilization was all the more amazing considering the conditions of its environment. The lowlands were dense, sweltering tropical jungles and rainforests, and the peninsula of Yucatan was a dry, scrubby plain with poor, rocky soil and a scarce water supply. But, miraculously, the Maya adapted themselves to their environment, and in this rugged and inhospitable land built one of the great civilizations of the world. What we can see today are only pathetically small remains of what were once the grand pyramids and temples of the Maya. For when the end came to this great civilization, the abandoned cities lay hidden in the jungle and unknown to the outside world for many centuries. Occasionally, a story of their mysterious existence would be told by hunters who searched the forests for chicle from the sapodilla tree to make chewing gum. In 1839, John L. Stevens and Frederick Catherwood, explorers and adventurers from the United States, went in search of these ancient cities. They traveled on foot and by horseback for 3 years through this trackless wilderness and rediscovered many Maya cities buried in the jungle. When they returned to the United States, Stevens wrote several books, which were illustrated by detailed drawings of the many Maya ruins. These drawings were done by Stevens' co-adventurer and artist, Frederick Catherwood. Some of the architectural details he was able to copy have already become obscured by weathering and time, and many beautiful carvings have disappeared or been destroyed by looters. It was from Stevens' books that the world first learned about the vanished Maya civilization. From earliest times, the religion of the Maya was based on the worship of many gods, gods who represented the great forces of nature. One of the most important was the rain god, whom they named Chac. Chac was represented by a mask-like face of big eyes and a long nose, sometimes shaped like an upside-down question mark. Chac decorated many Maya buildings. Not all buildings were used for religious purposes, however. Some may have been residences and government offices, and some for scientific observation. The Maya built great pyramids where they could offer ceremonies to worship the gods, and Maya workers built them by hand without the aid of metal tools, the wheel, or beasts of burden. Maya religion, on occasion, may have involved human sacrifice. In other religious ceremonies, there was dancing and burning of incense called pom. Today, in the highlands of Guatemala, Indians still burn palm incensers in front of their church with a mixture of Maya and Christian rites. At Tulum, there is a Maya temple pyramid facing the rising sun, high on a cliff overlooking the Caribbean Sea. A carved image of a diving god remains a mystery at Tulum, for the diving god is not placed on the water side, but on the land side. Tulum may have been an important waterfront trading center when the Spanish first explored the Yucatan coast in 1517. The Maya once fished the crystal clear waters of the Caribbean. Now, swimmers enjoy the same sparkling waters. Through the centuries, many different groups of Maya-speaking people have lived in this region. Today, as in the past, each group, like these Maya of the Guatemala highlands, speaks a similar but different dialect and has a similar yet different appearance and style of dress. But no matter where they are, the Maya always use their heads. At the peak of their time, from about 300 to 900 AD, a time called by scholars the Classic Period, the Maya made their most brilliant achievements. The entire ancient Maya civilization used one basic calendar system, which was as precise as our own, with a 365-day year. A system on which all later calendars of Middle America were based. The Maya also had a counting system using bars and dots, and were the first civilization in the world to use the concept of zero. As astronomers, the Maya made complex calculations on the positions of the planet Venus and recorded detailed tables for predicting eclipses of the moon and the sun. Calendrical computations had to be made continuously, for it was vital for farmers to be told the best time for planting. This stone may have been an ancient Maya sundial. The Maya farmed all usable land. Maize, or corn, was the main crop and major food source then, and still is today. Maya artists left behind many clues to their past carved in stone. Maya hieroglyphic writing was carved on monuments called stela and was primarily concerned with calendar signs and dates, famous people, and historical events. Carvings and inscriptions sometimes covered entire walls of temples and buildings. About 1/3 of the Maya glyphs have been deciphered. The glyphs were also written in books called codices, which were made from thin sheets of bark paper and skins and folded accordion style. Tragically, only 3 Maya books have been found. After the Spanish conquest, Bishop Diego de Landa came to Yucatan and ordered hundreds of Maya books burned. Although the originals are all in European museums, copies of the 3 surviving codices have enabled scholars to study these intricate and seemingly mysterious hieroglyphs. There is still much to be learned about the Maya. Archaeological excavations and expeditions are continuing to uncover new information about the Maya civilization, like these outstanding murals discovered in an ancient temple at Bonampak. These paintings showed a battle and revealed for the first time that the Maya had indeed been skilled warriors. After the Maya civilization began to collapse about 900 AD, only a few more stela were carved. Cities were abandoned. The population declined. About a century later, another group, called the Toltecs, came from central Mexico and moved into Yucatan, bringing with them their god, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. The Toltecs took over the then declining Maya city of Chichen Itza and began to build a new, Maya Toltec city. Chichen Itza was one of the largest Maya cities. It was located near several cenotes. The feathered serpent, representing the god Quetzalcoatl, appears everywhere on Maya buildings constructed after the Toltecs came here. The Toltecs were expert warriors. They carved faces of their helmeted leaders in these stone columns. Much of Chichen Itza has been restored, including a large court where the Maya played a ball game involving propelling a hard rubber ball through a ring in the wall. Perhaps the Maya's greatest artistic triumph was the beautiful rainforest city of Palenque, which was ruled by a king named Pakal from about 615 to 683 AD. Not long ago, beneath this pyramid, Pakal's richly decorated tomb was discovered. This was the first burial tomb found in the New World. The crypt was filled with jewels of the finest jade and other treasures. To see Palenque is to envision a small part of what was the civilized world of the Maya. In the words of the famous explorer, John L. Stevens,
here were the remains of a cultivated, polished, and peculiar people who had passed through all the stages incident to the rise and fall of nations, had reached their golden age, and perished. We lived in the ruined palaces of their kings. We went up to their desolate temples and fallen altars. And wherever we moved, we saw evidence of their skill in arts, their wealth and power. In the midst of ruin and desolation, we looked back to the past and fancied every building perfect, with its terraces and pyramids, its sculptured and painted ornaments, grand, lofty, and imposing. And overlooking an immense inhabited plain. We called back into life the strange people who gazed at us in sadness from the walls of the temples, pictured them in fanciful costumes and adorned with plumes of feathers, ascending the terraces of the palace and the steps leading to the temples. These were the Maya.